All right, welcome back. So we are working on a design patterns library. We're trying to set up the structure. We're using Bootstrap, and we have a Navbar here. But one of the things about Bootstrap that's really important, and one of the things that's important for us, is that we design for mobile. And so I want to start getting this set up both for mobile, and I want to start playing with the grid and start adding some actual sample code that we can display our design patterns. Okay, so we're going to use Bootstrap. We're going to talk a little bit about the flex box model. Okay, so we're going to go back to our CSS and our HTML. And the first thing we need to do is we need to set this up for mobile browsers. So there are more people are accessing content on the web through mobile devices and handheld devices than they are in desktop. So if we don't design for that, then we are doing a great disservice. Okay, Bootstrap does a lot for us, but there's two more meta tags that we want to take advantage of to help leverage a mobile response. Now, if you happen to have Bootstrap open, or if you want to just go there, on the Getting Started, if you scroll down just below, we got our JavaScript. We have a starter template they have here. Most of it we have this here. But this is another meta tag you want to have, and this is going to help you with handheld devices. So you want to make sure you grab that. So we're going to copy that. And it's just meta name equals viewport, content equals width, equals device width, comma, initial scale equals 1, shrink to fit equals no. And that's this, by the way, is a new attribute I am not familiar with. But we have it in Bootstrap, so there's probably browsers now that have this shrink to fit. And obviously, if we have a handheld device, we don't want to shrink the text. We want it actually nice, big, and readable. So we copy the whole meta tag, and we go ahead and put it into the HTML. And we're going to do it after the first meta tag right there. Oh, I should have put a line enter. So we're going to have our meta tags here. Then we have the title tag. Then we have a link for Bootstrap and a link for our CSS styles. Go ahead and save your changes. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to go to our page that we were working on before. Hold on, this is not the page I was looking for. Okay, so here's the Design Patterns library, full screen, desktop mode. I'm going to move this over to the right. So I'm going to click on here. And then we're going to tighten this up as tight as it can go. By the way, I'm going to do Control-0 to make sure this is full screen. And, oops, excuse me. And one of the things to test for mobile is you can grab your browser and make it as tight as you can. And I would consider this a broken design, okay? So on a handheld device, this sucks, right? And we need to fix it, okay? So one of the things that we did is by adding this meta tag with the viewport content equals width device, this is going to allow us to do some style changes for when we go on a more narrow browser. Okay, so that's one of the things we're going to want to do. So on our narrow browser, we're probably going to scale our font down a little bit, and we're going to make our navbar not horizontal, but we're going to make it a vertical navbar with a toggle on there. Okay, and we're going to use the Flexbox model to do it. So the first thing we want to do is set up a breakpoint for our a breakpoint to target small screens. And we're going to use Bootstrap yet again to get it, because if you already have Bootstrap open, you can get a lot of this material from here. And I'd rather teach you where to go to get the stuff than just what to code. All right, so if we go to Bootstrap, you want to go to Layout. So if you look on the navbar here, you see Layout over here. And you're going to scroll down a little bit, and you're going to see this responsive breakpoints. This is where you want to get it. And what we want to do is what's called a mobile-first design, where we're going to design for mobile, smallest handheld devices, and then build as we go up. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this. Now, I don't recommend you only use exactly what some other library uses. So Bootstrap is a library. But it's a good start, and it gets us some code. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this right here, and I'm going to paste that into my CSS. Okay, so it's a good idea to grab this. And then if we want to change what the breakpoints are, we can do that that would be in a later tutorial. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to paste that right there in my CSS. Now, I want to show you the CSS in 2 windows now. Okay, so we're going to do a mobile first, which means we designed for small devices first. Right now, that design is not for small devices because the navbar is broken. So let's fix that. So the way to fix that is you'll notice there's already some comments off of the Bootstrap site that says extra small devices, which would be portrait phones less than 576 pixels. You don't need a media query for that. We're actually going to copy all of this. Actually, not going to cut it. We're not going to copy it. We're going to cut it and move it down just a bit. We're going to let the comments guide us. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to paste it in. Now, this is for extra small devices. And right now, our navbar is not good for extra small devices, so we're going to fix that. For those of you interested where the information comes from, it comes from this website, which is a complete guide to Flexbox. If you just Google Flexbox, it's the first hit. Okay. So we added this display of flex, and that automatically gave us that horizontal display. So what we want to do is on the smallest devices, we want it vertical. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the flex direction to be column. So we're going to just copy, well, let's not even copy it. Let's just do it in our code. So what you want to do is you already have a display of flex, and that's okay. We're just going to do flex direction. I'm going to give it column. Okay, so that's all we have to add. Save your changes, and let's see if that's all we need to get it working. If I can find it. Hit refresh. There it is. We have a little problem with our bullet points on here. I broke something. What did I do? All right, to do that, I'm going to get the developer tool open. So I'm going to go to more tools, developer tools. I'm going to move this over a little bit. And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to use the developer tools to figure out what happened. Why do we suddenly have these bullet points again? I'm going to full screen this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click. If you notice way up here in the corner, you have this toggle device toolbar. You can click on here, and you can change the device size. We can even zoom in on a little bit. And there we go, responsive. We got different device sizes. We click on here, we can try out different devices like a Galaxy S5. We can do the Pixel 2. So you can see what the initial screen would look like on these various devices. So this is actually one interesting way to do it. You just click responsive. I'm just going to type like 300. All right. And now we can see that. And what we can do is we can just figure out what's going on. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to hover over, take a look, list item, click on UL. And what we can do is we can see, are we missing anything on here with the bullet points? So we're looking for the styles.css style sheet. I'm not seeing it. Am I on the home page? Yes. I think it's the comments. I'm going to delete those comments. I bet that's it. I'm going to save my changes and take a look again. Hit refresh. Yep. So it was the comments were breaking it. When I click now, I can see styles.css. So one of the things you want to do is you want to style everything and figure out if everything looks the way you want it to. And already I can see there's some issues with padding and things like that. So I'm going to click on the list item. And we don't have any style on there. It may be the list item that we're having a problem with. So we're going to try a couple things, and I'll tell you what the result is. All right, it looks like all you need to do is you need to match the padding on the list item from the anchor. When I do that, then this is what I get. I'm going to also try to remove the margin and see if that does anything or not. No, it doesn't seem to change anything. Okay, so at this point, we added a little extra. I added to the list item in my main nav, I removed all padding and margin. I didn't need that. And the real issue was my hyperlink needed to be displayed as a block level item. And I gave it a width of 100%. I also zeroed out the margin as well. Okay, but I did add some padding to my hyperlinks because we want to make sure there's a little bit of space around it so they look more like a button. So at that point, we have our hover effect. We got everything. Let's take a look and see what it looks like at this point. Take this off. Notice on a narrow device, we have this here. Our nav bar seems to work okay. And let's do the next step, which is when we get a wider device. So what we're going to do is it all has to do with flex direction. This is the only thing we're going to change. We're going to go from a direction of column to a direction of row, and we're going to do that on a wider device. So the way I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy the whole thing because it's easier. I'm going to scroll down, and then you see where you have this media min width 576 pixels. At this screen, what I want to do is paste my entire code here. And I'm going to remove everything that's already been done. I don't need that anymore. And I'm going to change flex direction to row. I'm going to save my changes, and I'm going to see if this works. Now notice on the app media breakpoint, we have a curly brace here and another one down here. This opens and closes it. And then inside, we put an entire selector property value declaration. Okay. So we changed flex direction to row as soon as we are at 576 pixels. Let's save our changes and see if that works, and then I'll leave you with the code if it does. I hit refresh, and I'm going to start scaling this out. Excuse me. As soon as I get wide enough, it should suddenly turn into... Now, I think I've already gone beyond there, so we're having a little issue with this. So let's see if we can figure out what's going on. It is the comment once again. So this is a single line comment. We need to change this to a multi-line comment like this, or you can just delete it. You might as well go in and do that for the rest of these while you're at it. Okay, so you don't want to forget. So I'm going to zoom this out a little bit. So make sure all these single line comments become multi-line comments using a / star /. I'll do that, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I saved my changes. Let's take a look at our document. Hit refresh. There we have it. On the wider devices, we have a horizontal nav bar. The narrow ones, we have a vertical nav bar. One other thing I would like to do is once I go to horizontal, I want to make the whole nav bar be this background color of gray. So I'm going to add that background color to the entire UL. So I'm just going to grab my code from here, copy that. On here, I'm going to hit save. I'm going to hit refresh. And there, now I have it going out to the rest of the row. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with that code here for a little bit. You want to pause and get your code in here, see if we can get that working. Okay, the next thing I want to do is create a 2-column layout for when you have wider screens. So we're going to go back to the page that we have here. And as soon as I'm, at this point, this is the small device, and we have the horizontal nav bar. At a certain point, we're going to turn this into a 2-column layout. And the question is, what size do we want to do it? I'm thinking, let's start with medium and see what that looks like. What we're going to do is we're going to have it so the pattern samples is going to be on the right-hand side. Page nav is going to be on the left-hand side. And then we're going to make sure the page nav is smaller. Pattern samples go here where we put our patterns larger. So we're going to make it a, we're going to use the grid. We're going to use a 9x3 sort of grid pattern. And if you know about Bootstrap, it's a 12 grid system. So what we're going to do is we need in our section, actually we're going to do it, this section tag here. We're already in a container. And we're going to take this section and we're going to turn it into a row. So this is going to be one row, and it's going to have the 2 columns in the row. And so what we want to do is we make it a row by just adding the class of row to the section. And on article, we're going to give it a class. And we're going to make this call. And then I think, yeah, what we want to do is we're going to make it a call MD. Oops. Okay, I don't know why it did that. call MD, and we're going to get rid of that. Okay, just article class call MD. Oh, wait, we want to make this a 9. So we just add a -9 to it, and we're on our article. Oh, I got to get rid of that div. That was a mess. Remind me not to do that one again. Okay. On here, and then on my aside, we're just going to call it call MD. We're not even going to specify this. Oh, I got to give it a class first. We're just going to say call MD, and it will figure out the rest from there. So we hit refresh, and there we have our page nav is on the right. This is on the left. Notice this is 9/12, or of course, 3/4. Yeah, 3/4 of the width. This is 1/4 of the width. But we want to move the page nav to the other side, so we're going to do a thing called order. We're going to write order 2, and on our aside, we're going to give it an order of 1. And it's going to change the order priority. So when I hit refresh, we switch the page nav to the left and the pattern samples to the right. So this is all you have to do is with Bootstrap is add these classes. So we added a class of row here, and then call MD for medium-sized devices. We added a 9. It's 9/12. That's how wide it is. We set the order to be second on this one. And when we set a call of MD, this will just take up remaining space. And we gave it an order of 1, so it appears first.